Good morning and good afternoon again, depending on where you are. People are still coming in. We have quite a few people signed up for this webinar, so I'm just going to wait another minute or so to allow people to log in, and we will get started.
Do not disturb. Activated.
Okay, I think we can get started now. So again, thank you for joining us. My name is Patricia Bennett. I think most of you know who I am. Helping me with this webinar today, I have two members of my team, Rick Collins, who I hope you've all met, and Nathan Newberg, who is also part of our team. So we'll just go ahead and get started. There's a lot of material to cover today. So let's go ahead and get started. Our agenda for today, I'm going to start with 1099s. Most of you should have received an email from PC Bennett talking about the version you're in and 1099s. And for those of you that did not get it or missed it or whatever, I figure I would cover that here because this is important and we need to make sure that you're all aware of what's going on. I'm going to spend a few minutes, not much, on W-2s and payroll, again, because this is crucial right now, this time of the year. And then we'll talk about how to close the different modules in Acumatica. So all the closing procedures. And then at the very end, I have a poll with a bunch of topics. And what we're going to do is we're going to let you guys select those topics that you would like to hear in our webinars this year. And this is how we select the different topics for our monthly webinars. So let's go ahead and get started. So printing 1099s. So the format of the 1099s has changed in 2021, especially the neck. The neck 1099s are now 3 to a page instead of 2 to a page. And there may be some changes in the different fields and stuff. So this is very, very important. Again, we have sent an email and I think we are contacting you guys directly, but you need to look at the different versions of your software and see which version you're in. If you're on 2021 R2, then you need to be on 21.203.003 or higher in order to be able to print 1099. So this is for the paper forms. For the electronic filing, these are the different versions. So if you're not on this version and you need to e-file, or the versions before and you need to paper print, we need to do a build upgrade before you can print 1099s. I know that my team is working and trying to get to all of you and make sure that you're on the right version, but I figure I would cover this and you know, and mention it so that everybody's aware of it. So do not wait until the last minute, please. If we have not gotten a hold of you, please go ahead and email either Rick or Paul Purcell, and we'll get you upgraded to the latest, to the build that's appropriate for you. So printing 1099s. First of all, I would recommend you print the 1099 yearly summary. You can print that now, whether you're in the right version or not, because that will give you a list of those vendors that are subject to 1099, whether it's miscellaneous or NAC. And then you print the forms or e-file. If you're going to print the forms, this is silly, but instead of wasting your forms, print it in white paper, put it up to the window, and make sure it lines up. Otherwise, you need to adjust your printer. And then at the end of printing the 1099s, there's a close the 1099 year. So just be aware of that. This is the main menu for the 1099 reporting. The 1099 yearly summary is the one that I'm recommending. And then you will see the two different ones. If you're on the right version, then this will be 3 to a page. Otherwise, it will be 2 to a page, and you'll know that you're on the wrong version. So if you guys have any questions about 1099s, please send me an email or send my team or support at PCBennett an email. Printing W-2s. So I'm going straight to the next topic. The W-2s, these in Acumatica's payroll, are printed through Atrix. So you're going to go to government reporting, and then you're going to select show only federal forms, then W-2s and W-3s, and you're going to select the year. You're going to go to a series of questions. Give yourself time because errors will come up. So I have compiled just a quick list of things. It takes time, so give yourself enough time. You will see a screen, and I don't know why this is happening, but you will see a screen that says, let's say, for example, your state unemployment account with your state was XYZ, and now it's XXX. Do me a favor, do a print screen of that, because in most cases, what we have seen is that the new account is incorrect. So you need to change it back to what it used to be. So having a print screen of that will make it quicker for you to be able to correct those issues. All the errors that the system finds will show up in either kind of a pinkish, reddish color. You will need to correct each one of those before you can move forward. So if it tells you that the SUTA account number is incorrect for a particular state, go to that pinkish line, and then there's an edit button on top. Click on that, and in most cases it's just the format. But since you have that print screen of what it used to be, put it back to what it used to be. If you have any employees that are over the Social Security limit, I have seen now a couple of times where it's showing the taxable wages for Social Security as, I think it's what, $140,000 the maximum, and then it puts cents, like 0.73 cents. So take those cents, put them into zeros, and you'll be able to move forward. If you have any issues, give us a call, send us an email to support. We'll help you with it, but give yourself some time to get them processed. Okay, so now to the topic at hand, closing the months. And I'm going to start by saying closing the year in Acumatica should be a non-event. It should be another month end closing. So what I'm going to focus on today is how to set up your own processes and procedures to close the month for your company. And every company is going to be different. So we're going to start with the trial balance. And then you're going to decide based on your company and what accounts you have open and so on in your company and your processes, what is important and what are the critical asset and liabilities accounts that for your particular scenario. We're gonna focus on obviously the financial modules, which are the ones that you actually have to close. So why close the modules? Because it really stops people from transacting in the wrong month, in the wrong year, and it's very important. So I don't recommend that you close January at the end of January, because you usually give yourself a little wiggle time because there's transactions, bills, things, corrections that come in. But you should have a process for your company where you're closing that month, every month, you're closing a month. So again, build yourself a recurring plan, checklist, use the bank reconciliation. I know that there's companies out there that do not reconcile their bank accounts, and they do it at the end of the year. It's a lot harder to do it at the end of the year. If you do it every week, every month, every day, you can actually go in every day and look at your online banking and clear and reconcile to the balance that the bank is giving you for that day. So at the end of the month, all you have to do is the last day of the month and you're done. You've reconciled that month. Very, these are little things that make your life a lot easier. If you need to know how to reconcile your bank account, let me know and I can certainly have somebody, or even I can sit down with you and show you how to do that. So in general, we're going to close all the submodules before we close the general ledger. So what are the submodules? Inventory, AR, AP, fixed assets. So submodules are all those modules that at the end of the month will have a balance that we have to reconcile to a GL account, to an account in the chart of accounts, basically. Accrued purchases, things like that. As a general rule, if you take your balance sheet and you validate all your balances on the balance sheet, then you can close your months. We're going to start with inventory. So once you're done creating all the transactions for, let's say right now we're in January, for December, all the invoices that you're going to invoice for the month of December, then the first thing you want to close is inventory. So first of all, make sure that all the open transactions have been released. In the case of inventory, you probably want to do a cycle count, or depending on what your processes are, you want to do some kind of account. You want to reconcile the inventory balance to your inventory GL account. So let's say your inventory GL account is 1,300 and it has $1 million of inventory in it. We need to print a report in Acumatica that shows you that there is really $1 million of inventory in your inventory module. I will show you the report that I like, but you may have other reports that you prefer. And then we're going to close the financial period. In this case, we're talking about December for inventory. So in the inventory module, you will see the physical counts. You will also see closed financial periods. I'm actually going to talk for a few minutes about this validate inventory. You will see that validate XYZ, in this case inventory, but if you're in receivables, it's customer balances and so on, is available. In the event that you think that for whatever reason the balances have gone off sync, you can validate inventory. I would recommend to do a snapshot or a backup before you do this process. It may take a while, it may take hours, depending on what you're validating. So be careful with that, but it is a tool that is out there. And obviously, for everything that I'm showing you, you have to have the rights or the permission to process these processes. One of my favorite reports in inventory is the inventory valuation, because it gives me the total, and I think I have a copy right here. Yes, so it's going to show me by GL account the different inventory items that I have with the totals, and then it's also gonna segregate them by warehouse in case I'm doing different sub accounts by warehouse or whatever. So as you can see, in this case, I should have $10,314.24. And okay, you know what I'm saying. $10,314,024.18. That should match my GL account that holds my inventory, or the total of GL accounts that hold my inventory, whatever that may be. In this case, we have 2 accounts, and that should match my total. Well, we have more than that. Anyways, so make sure that that total matches your GL. Once that is the case, then you can go ahead and close the periods. Moving on to accounts receivable. So we close the inventory, move on to accounts receivable. Make sure you've generated all your recurring transactions, you've applied all your credit memos and payments, prepare dunning letters, prepare customer statements. Very important, reconcile the balance in the AR module with the GL account. So for example, if my AR account in the GL is 1,200, then the balance for the month of December, whatever that may be, should be equal to what I have in that GL account. In the AR module, if you're processing commissions, you will have to process the commissions and create the commission periods before you close the accounts receivable module. So again, here's my receivables menu. You have the calculate commissions and close commissions. Again, that validate customer balances. If you have a lot of customers, this process will take a while. And again, don't do it without a snapshot or a backup. And then once we're done printing statements and doing everything that we're going to do at the end of the month, then we're going to close the financial periods. When I click that close financial periods, it will show me all the periods that are open for the year that I have specified. This is an old, this is an Acumatica demo data, which is still in 2013. So, but you can see here that I have closed every period except for November and December. And in this case, this database has an adjusting period, which is 1 day at the end of December. So it has 13 periods. So when I'm ready to close November, I'm going to check this box, and I'm going to go ahead and process. I will open this for questions in a little bit. So, or if you have any questions, please go ahead and type your questions in the Q&A, and Rick and Nathan will help me monitor that, and we will answer your questions. So accounts payable, very much the same thing as accounts receivable. Process your 1099s before you do it for December, but if you're doing May, June, July, make sure you generate all your recurring transactions. Review your AP edit report for open documents and then release them. I'll show you where that shows up. Apply any open prepayments or payments that are open. Debit or credit adjustments, you want to reconcile your AP balance for the month you're closing with the the balance on the GL account that reflects your accounts payable. I think there's a question. So there's a question about how to do backups or snapshots. If you're on software as a service or SaaS customer, backups would need to be requested from Acumatica, and they do have a cost. I'm not really sure what the cost is right now, but maybe Rick can help me with that. But you don't need a full backup. You can do a snapshot, and that is something that if you have the rights, then you can do yourself, or we're happy to do it for you. AP, so again, we reconcile the balance at the end of a particular month on the accounts payable subledger to the GL account that represents accounts payable. If you have multi-currency, you need to revalue your foreign vendor accounts. And then once you're ready, you're gonna close your accounts payable module and financial period for that financial period or that month. And in payables, once we hit close financial periods, again, it's going to show you all the periods that are open, and you can check 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. Make sure you don't have any unreleased documents for the period that you're running, and then you're going to hit process and it's going to close those periods. Cash management, so bank reconciliations. Again, I think this is so important for you to always keep your bank reconciled every month. But again, if you have cash transactions, make sure they're released. If you're doing electronic bank reconciliation, import your bank statements, reconcile your bank account, your cash account. Multi-currency, make sure you manage your multi-currencies. And when you're ready, close the financial period for cash management. And you'll see that all these screens look very, very, very similar. Here's the bank reconciliation. Here's where you enter the balance that the bank is showing you. When this becomes 0, which is the difference between what you have reconciled and what the bank is showing, then you can reconcile. At that point, at the end of the month, you take the reconciliation of hold and you release it. And that's how we reconcile. And again, I'm happy to go over this with anybody who has any questions about reconciliations. And I guess I don't have a screenshot, but again, in banking, you have close, and you go to close. It shows you the periods. You pick the periods that you're going to close, and you go ahead and close them. Fixed assets. It's another module. If you're using it, then in fixed assets, there's a way of flagging a PO or a purchasing AP as an asset. Make sure you convert those transactions into fixed assets, and then you release all the transactions that you have converted. Calculate the depreciation. reconcile your fixed asset balance to the GL, and then once you have reconciled that, you can close your financial period. So there's a theme here. Oh my goodness, I have a frog in my throat. So in the fixed asset module, we're gonna close financial periods once you've verified that everything has been released and that everything has been processed. So again, depending on what modules you're using, if you're dealing with inventory, for example, and you're receiving inventory, you're going to have an accrued purchases account on your balance sheet. Then you should be able to reconcile that accrued purchases account. If you're using project accounting, there's nothing that needs to be closed, but there's specific processes that you probably need to run before you can move on and close the financial period. So make sure that you have run your allocations and percent of completion, that you've done the billing that you need to do out of project. If you have work in process, reconcile that account. If you have deferred revenue or in bill amounts or whatever, make sure you can reconcile those accounts before you close your financial period. If you have manufacturing, again, there's nothing to close in manufacturing, but make sure that, you know, if you're, oh, I can't think of the word right now, but depending on your processes, make sure that those processes, so when you create a list of steps that you need to do at the end of the month for closing, it makes it a lot easier because it makes sure that you don't forget whatever it is that you need to do. Again, taxes at the end of the month, you need to prepare a tax report. I think most of you are using Avalara. So go into Avalara, look at your at what Avalara is saying you need to pay. You know, your tax liability account it will not be zero because now you have transactions in the new month, but whatever the ending balance was at the prior month should be what you're paying in the current month. So if that's not the case, you need to take a look and see what went wrong. Validate your balance sheet accounts every month in the same form so that you don't miss anything. So then once we have closed all the subledgers and all the modules that we're using, and we have made sure that everything is correct, we get to the general ledger. And again, if you have recurring entries in the general ledger or allocations or some kind of accrual entries that you're doing every month, make sure you do those. If you need to update budgets or statistical ledgers, go ahead and do that. Make sure that all the subsidiary ledgers are closed. If you have multi-currency, then reevaluate your currency, prepare your financial statements, and especially if you're giving financial statements to the bank, it is very important that after you do that, you close that period so that changes cannot be made to that period and modify the financial statements that you already supplied to the bank. So how do we close the general ledger? It's pretty much the same process as we do with all the other modules. So we're going to go to the master financial calendar, and under actions, we're going to say close, and then we're going to pick the months that we're going to close, and we're going to process. Pretty straightforward. So just to recap, it is very important that you look at your business and your business processes, and you define your closing schedule, your closing procedures. Start with the balance sheet in the general ledger or the balance sheet accounts, and make sure you can validate those balances. Then look at the subsidiary modules, AP, AR, cash, etc., and close those modules. And then look at the other modules that you're using, or the other modules that have accounts that are affected in the balance sheet, and validate the balances on those accounts. So that was my presentation for closing. I'm going to go ahead and open for Q&A. And then we're going to go over the topics for the next 12 webinars. So if anybody has any questions, can you please type them? I don't know if I can unmute everybody, or so if anybody has any questions, just can you please type them in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer those. Okay, so before everybody leaves, then I want to launch the poll. I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys to please mark all the options that all the topics, I'm sorry, that you would like to see in future webinars. And what we're doing is we take those topics, and the one with the most check marks will be the first one, and we go down the line, and the one with the least, if something doesn't get any requests, then we won't talk about it. So that's how we select the topics that we cover for these webinars. If you think we can improve this webinar in any way, I'm happy to hear about it. Somebody's asking, what's Velixer reporting? Velixer reporting is a tool to create financial reports in Excel. It is awesome. It's super easy to create all kinds of financial reports. You can do comparatives, month to month, quarter to quarter. You can report other modules by the use of inquiry screens. It's a fantastic reporting tool. The people that have it absolutely love it. And what is container management? So those people that are buying inventory from outside of the country and are having to bring in containers, from, say, China or Europe with inventory into the United States, then by the time that inventory touches the water, it becomes an asset to your company. And once it's an asset to your company, it should be reflected in your books. So with the container management module, you can receive the inventory the minute it touches the water. We also handle all the landed costs. You can combine POs from different vendors and receive them all into one container. And then when it gets here to the United States, then you receive them into your warehouse and post the rest of your landed costs, and it helps you that way.
And it is different from warehouse management, Jackie.
It is definitely different from warehouse management, yes. Any more questions?
Kelly has a couple questions in the Q&A.
Okay. Colby, is there a way to extract an electronic file from our banks? Yes, there is such a thing as an electronic bank reconciliation. And again, bank reconciliation is getting quite a few votes. So Seems like that's going to be our second or third webinar of the year. But if you want to get started right away, we are happy to show you how to do that. There is an electronic reconciliation. So the way that the electronic bank reconciliation works is that you download the transactions from your bank, and then you upload them into Acumatica. Acumatica will match everything that matches exactly. And then you can print a smaller list of things that didn't match and reconcile those by hand. So it really, really saves you a ton of time. Any other questions? Questions, comments? Please let us know if the information that was provided today is helpful. I should have done a poll about that, and I didn't think about it. But if there is a different format that I can present this information that would make it easier, better, this is you guys' webinar. So it has to work for you. It has to give you the information that is meaningful to you guys. Otherwise, we're all wasting our time, and that's probably not what we want to accomplish here. So that's all the material that I have. Unless people have questions. Here okay.
In the chat.
Oh, I didn't hear them. I didn't see any.
Can you upload checks that reconcile via Excel into the cash recon module?
Okay, what was that?
Can you upload checks that reconciled via Excel into the cash reconciliation module?
I'm not sure I understand that question. Can you upload checks that reconcile via Excel? Well, you can create an Excel file that you upload that that then reconciles the module. More details about closing. If you have direct deposits and they cleared, can you clear them via Excel? I suppose you could create your own file and upload it, but ideally you download a file from the bank, upload it to the bank rec, and reconcile it that way. But if you wanna, we can take a look at your question in particular and see if we can get it to work. Let's have a conversation, Dwayne, because I think we can make your life a little easier. I have some ideas, so just ping me when we're done, and I'm happy to discuss how things can maybe be better. Marisol, you want more details? Specifically, what would you like to see more details on? Okay. Hold on a second. More details on 1099s. Okay. Happy to discuss 1099s on a one-on-one. Again, feel free to ping one of us and we will help you with the 1099s. And by the way, next year, the 1099s and I mean, there's no guarantees, but my understanding is that you will be able to process 1099s through Atrix. So like right now with the payroll, the W-2s with the new Acumatica payroll, the W-2s get processed through Atrix. So Atrix will validate the numbers for you. Well, we'll show you the numbers, you validate them, you hit OK. They charge for W-2s right now, it's like $1.75 or something per W-2, but they mail them to your employees, they file them with the IRS, they do the electronic filing, and they do everything for you. So I'm looking forward to having next year the 1099s filed directly by Atrix, if we get there. So happy to help you with 1099s. Just ping me when we're done. And, or if you, those of you that have specific questions, if you want to stay on the line and I can unmute you, then I am happy to go into the software and discuss anything that you guys want to take a look at. So I'm going to end the poll. The winner is, as usual, building generic inquiries and dashboards. So we can make that our February webinar. And then creating workflows is tied with bank reconciliation. So what we're going to do is we're going to make bank rec March, creating workflows April, and then we probably have a 2022 R1 release. So we'll cover that, and then we'll do CRM and payroll are tied. And one more thing, if there's any, oh, no. The Lixo has a lot of, I need to look at this. I need to look at this closely. If there's any topics that we didn't think of that you would like to see, just shoot me an email, patriciab@pcbennett.com, and I will consider those topics. So this is great. We'll take a look at the poll results, and we'll definitely schedule these topics. What is the question from Jenna? Yes, Jenna. I actually talked about the 1099 builds at the beginning of the webinar. There's specific builds that you have to be on in order to either print or electronically file your 1099s. So that is something that we will reach out to you and make sure that you're in the correct build in order to print your 1099s.
I'll be seeing Jenna in an hour and a half, so I will fill her in then.
Okay, perfect. You guys can take a look at the build and go from there. Okay, so
one more question, Patricia.
Okay. I don't.
Or is
I don't
that
see it.
old?
No, that's an old one.
Oh.
I'm going to
sorry.
share the results of the poll with everybody. So Valixo actually will be number 2. That's very good. Okay. So now, what I can do is close the PowerPoint. And I can answer any questions that anybody has. So what we're going to do is, if you want to talk, if you can, is there any way that I can give everybody, unmute everybody? Do you know?
You should be able to.
or if you want to be unmuted, if you raise your hand or type a quick question, I'll go ahead and unmute everybody. I'm going to pause the recording now.